Come on, girl. What you looking for? Find it. Oh, she's going to come out right next to us here. Look at that. Oh, wish I had a camera. Look at that. Right here next to us. See, maybe she sticks to the road for a little bit. So far this morning she's been crisscrossing the whole time. Those big paws. You can see, if you look very carefully, you'll see those 4 toes. We always look at the track side of the paw. I can see the actual feet as they make those tracks. 4 toes facing forward, and the 5th toe, or the dew claw, sitting higher up the leg. Actually trying to remember now. I'm just stretching my head here. Jan, you might be able to remember as well, but I'm trying to remember when the Mapochos mated with her. Might have been longer than 6 weeks ago. Time does tend to melt into itself a little bit out here, so maybe it's even longer. Keep in mind, lions have got about a 3-month gestation period. 102 days, I think, 103 days about. Just over 3 months, 3.5 months. Let's get closer to her again. One of the benefits of the camera is that we can stay with things even if they're far away, but look at that, just walking down the road. Looks like she's just going to head down the road for a bit. Let the game drives know again. Our station's just an update on the SandyPatch Mafazi, still heading west on WildEarth access, close to Zoe's road turnoff. Earlier I was mentioning those black markings behind the ears. Also when the tail tip comes out, that black tail tuft. It's all just visual markings. You can imagine if we were one of the Pride members and we were walking behind, we can quite easily see her from those markings. Yeah, she's definitely heading somewhere at the moment. Those impalas are calling, they've given her position away, and she's not even too worried about them. Let's catch up again a little bit. I love the way they walk as well. Just look at those padded feet just flopping down on the road. Still looking around, but you can see her whole focus has changed from earlier. It's not quite as intent, quite as focused anymore. Now it's more just a little bit of random luck maybe. She's walking down a road, so that means that she's walking very quietly. There's no grass and sticks and bush brushing against her. So the chance that you could surprise something is reasonable. So she'll still stop and listen and look every now and again, but very, very different attitude now as opposed to 10 minutes ago. She's now just heading somewhere. Go, Jan.
Pieter, I've got a question from Randy, and she said that you mentioned that the Sandypatch Lioness that we are watching now is possibly 10 years old. Do they continue mating and having cubs all during their life, or do they retire from motherhood at some point? And also, Terry Bliss also asked, what is the average lifespan of lions?
Thanks, Jan. Guys, nice to have some questions again. Some of the familiar names, Randy and Terry, both of your questions I'll sort of answer in one. Randy, first of all, in terms of how long they can reproduce for, actually let me approach it from the other side. In terms of the life expectancy, like Terry was asking, typically you can say for lionesses in the wild, let's say 13 to 15 years would be a typical life expectancy. But they can get old. I know of lionesses that reached 17, 18, 20 years even. So it depends a lot on the genetic strength of that lion and also on how much food is available, how much water is available. I wonder what she's sniffing there. She stopped again and she's rubbing her face a bit. Maybe she's going to mark there. So yeah, just to finish the question, basically, let's say 15 years on average for a lioness. For a male, about 10, 11 years, just because they fight and displace each other a lot more. And then in terms of their reproductive ability, again, I'm guessing she's about 10 because I remember the Sandypatch from early 2000s. So it's quite possible that she could still reproduce. I'd say if she has a litter now, it'll probably be her last litter. Something bitter there. Because she'll only be able to have cubs again in 2 years if her cubs make it. So again, 10, 12 years old. Again, there's a female in Pilanesberg that I knew quite well. She's actually still alive. She's now 20 years old, called Beryl, an enormous female, as you can guess from the name. And she had cubs, if I remember correctly, until about 17 years old. So it's possible, but the norm is, I would say, for out here in the Sabi Sands, where there's also things like feline AIDS and TB to worry about. I wouldn't say lionesses typically have cubs older than about 12, 13 years old. Just try and stay with. I'm just going to pick up that plastic quickly. Again, just that camouflage is extraordinary. Yeah. It's one of those things I always enjoy, is the little details in the